So you want to quit your job. You want to work for yourself. You want to own your own business. You want to own your own time. Whether that's e-commerce or selling online, or whether that's a physical business like a personal trainer or a cleaner. You know, there's a lot of other businesses that are not necessarily online based. But that's what I do. I own and operate Murgs. We sell weightlifting and CrossFit equipment. And I will say we all the time. There is no we, it's only me. It's a force of habit. And I've been running Murgs now for 8 years, maybe a little more. I've been full-time for 2.5. And in the interest of transparency, I make £3,000 a month. Why? Because my business is doing well. I own my own time. It's Monday morning at 10 to 10. Part of my pay comes in time, right? So the first thing, if you want to own and operate your own business and you work for someone else right now, make a start, but just keep going. Just be patient. Be patient, be patient, be patient. Be as patient as you are ambitious. And I know that's hard, because if you're watching this and you're here, you are probably incredibly ambitious. I get it. I am too. I really am. And that's really challenging, to be as patient as you are ambitious. But it really does take ages. The amount of people online that make 10 grand a month in the first 6 months, it's all just bollocks. A lot of these people actually get wealthy by selling other people the tips and tricks on how to get wealthy. So it's like a weird wealth paradox, and the only person winning is the guru selling you the nonsense, and you don't really get a lot out of it, because at the end of the day, everything you need to know is on the internet, literally. And that's why I'm here. I'm trying to come into this and show you guys a bit more of the truth behind it, a bit more of what actually happens, because I'm living it. Never mind these people that own big businesses that are worth 50 million. They tell you tips and tricks, but they don't do any of it. That's probably researched by someone else. Yeah, it could be good advice, but they're not even doing it. Someone else is doing it. So forget about that. You've got to have a really specific focus. And I don't mean like you can't do it. You need to be focused on the mission. And it depends what the mission is. You need to decide this. You need to have a think. What is the purpose of working for yourself? For me, it wasn't the money. It's not that I want to make 10 grand a month and I'd like 4 Lamborghinis. I don't want anything other. I don't want a Rolex. What am I going to do? Break the screen on that as well? No, I don't need a Rolex. I don't buy fancy clothes. So most of the clothes I wear are Murgs merch. So for me, it was time. I wanted time and flexibility and freedom to be able to leave the house when I want and just be out and about and nip to the shops and pick up my kids. I've got twins, age 3. And my why is to live more of this life that we get to be part of. I probably work 20 or 25 hours a week at this point, and that's not some sort of flex. I just don't have the capability to do more. I do. Everybody does. I could do more on evenings and do more in gaps. But you know, I'm the primary parent. Mum works for the NHS. She goes out to work. Some days I've just got the girls and I sort them out. So narrow your focus and look at why. Why do you want to work for yourself? What's the goal? What's the end goal? And then build a business around that. You need to build a business about something that you are passionate about. And I don't mean like your favourite food's pizza, so you're going to start a pizza shop. Let's be realistic. I enjoyed lifting. I enjoyed lifting and going to the gym. I went to the gym. I then had bad knees. And I was like, this is crap. Went to the doctors. The doctors said, could you try not squatting? I said, no. So I went in a search of a solution. I was like, right, maybe these neoprene knee supports will help. I bought some, they didn't help. Oh, they did, but not very much. And I thought, I can do better than this. Went in search of better. Now I make better knee sleeves. They're much better. They're great. Murgs is one of the main choices in the UK for knee sleeves and supports. All because I just solved a problem that I knew I wasn't the only person to have. And that's true to everything. If you have a problem, you are not the only one. You are not unique. There's billions of people on this earth. Never mind in the UK, what is there, 80 million people? Like, if you think about it, you only need 1,000 people to give you £1,000. Don't get me wrong, it's just for the maths. That's 1 million. That is 1 million. It's only 1,000 people at £1,000. And you're like, wow. You know, you get to 10,000 people at £10. Is the maths right on that? I don't know. £100, 1,000. No, it'd be £100. 10,000 people at £100 would be 1 million. Anyway, that's not important. But there is plenty of people. And even your niche, weird problem, Others will have it. They absolutely will. Make your product somewhat specific to someone. And that's a weird comment. But Murgs, I have a touch of the OCD, just enough to where medication helps, but enough that no one's ever noticed. I've just found some stuff hard. Murgs has a very monochrome colour scheme. It's black and white. It's very minimalist. It's low key. I like minimalism. When I buy my cars, I take the badges off the back. I take all the badges off. I like things to just be clean and neutral and sort of empty. So I designed products that fit my requirement. I was like, I just want things that have got nothing on them, but maybe a logo. That's it. And they've gone down an absolute storm. People absolutely love the minimalist branding. It really fits the target audience. Talking about target audiences, don't forget as well, the target audience you start off with might not be the target audience that resonates with you. That it absolutely may not be. I come from more of a bodybuilding background. I like bodybuilding and weight training for growth and strength, right? I started targeting the bodybuilders of the world thinking, oh, there's going to be more people like me. Well, yeah, sort of, but then it turned out CrossFitters. These guys, in terms of lifting, these guys are like cousins. They're in the room next door. And I'd never considered that people doing a very similar thing might need a similar product. It sounds daft now, but it's so easy to look past and think, oh, wow, like, I'll target the people that I know best. And it's like, it turns out I didn't realise that I knew CrossFit quite well. So if you're out and about and you've started a company that makes waterproof golf jackets, you might start doing that, and then you might find that there's more people want waterproof jackets that walk their dogs. The golfers are actually wearing their jackets more to walk their dogs because they're so cozy and warm, and all of a sudden you didn't realise that you're like, I never thought of dog walkers. Yeah, probably not. Like, that can happen too. Next thing you know, you're making coats or jackets or warm weather gear for people that are just outside. You're now a warm weather gear company, and you just never realised. And it's just, keep your mind open to these sorts of things. These segues and tangents aren't necessarily detracting from your focus, but don't be afraid to let your customers pick you. What's wrong with that? If you offer a product and someone else has found a better use for it, double down, toy with that, dive in. So that's something that's you've got to be open-minded to, that you might not end up with the business you want. You might, but I would have found that I'd have had to change my tactics. Whatever I was trying to target the bodybuilding guys, it wasn't working, but it resonated with someone else. So just let the river take you and go with it. Don't be opposed to anything. Another thing, things will go wrong. Things will go wrong all the time. Things will absolutely go wrong night and day, and your job is, it's really hard balancing the blurred line of maintaining the business and keeping things running, because some days you are just a little fireman putting tiny fires out. Customer problems, deliveries have not arrived, this is late, that advert stopped running, and some days feel like that, and it can be kind of awful. It's horrible. And then there's some days where you have to work on the business. So that's working in the business because you're just an employee. You've basically just got a job. But when you work on the business, it's more big picture things. It's like, where's the brand going? What products are next? What's another avenue? How can we grow this in a logical, sensible way? A good example again from what I did, it was, instead of spending more and more and more and more on Facebook ads, why don't we start targeting the CrossFit gyms themselves? Where are the customers? They're in the gym, right? With all the friends. So if we can get into the gym, all of a sudden, you're now at the source of the people, and they're going to the gym. If the gym, you can get on well with the gym people. I'm just trying to give you ideas of how you don't necessarily have to work with the traditional routes you're thinking of. I've got a friend of mine, Jason, sells candles, and Jason sells candles on Amazon, looking at an online store, and there's some other bits and bats. And I was like, Jason, what about other things for candles? What about weddings? What about funerals? What about having candles for these certain things? You can have candles for people that just like a cozy bedroom and they like to read a book all nice and whatever. You can have candles for purpose. You can have candles for... There's so many different people within candles. And it's so easy on the surface to think, oh no, a candle's a candle, right? You like them or you don't. No, there's so many categories to every niche that you've got to remember that there's so many different slight variables to just be mindful of. Not that I'm suggesting try and target all them people, because I think that is quite honestly a bad idea. Don't spread yourself too thin. You can't, again, this ties into the point previously. This is not saying do all these things. You can't. You don't have the capacity. But you can certainly trial and test new things in the same way that I've trialed and tested TikTok ads and then realised that I had to go back to Facebook because I would just, I could have done better instead of different. So don't forget that as well. Better is better than different, no matter what you're doing. If you can improve it, great. But starting somewhere else, you're starting at a blank slate. You're starting with new people, you're starting with new software, you're starting with new everything. And that's not constructive. It's not conducive to growing a business in a healthy and profitable way. Another thing, revenue is for vanity, profit is for sanity. That's really funny because the amount of people online saying, I made 100 grand last month, when what they really mean is, I sold 100 grand last month. You might have sold £100,000 last month, but you might have spent 110,000. The amount you sell doesn't even really matter, because if you sold £100,000 worth of stuff and you spent 95,000, you've got 5% profit margin. Okay, cool. If you sold £20,000 worth of stuff and you had a 25% profit margin, you made £5,000. So one person's doing 4 times the work for the same amount of profit. And when you take a step back, you're like, wow, the maths really does highlight how more revenue doesn't necessarily mean a better business at all. More revenue, like doing 100 grand at 5% profit, that is a lot of work. That's a lot of customers. That's a lot of returns. That's a lot of everything. It's a lot of ads. It's a lot of momentum. If you can increase your profit and lower your revenue, why wouldn't you? That's kind of why Murgs went down the route of being a premium product for a few reasons. One of them was, it turns out I launched the knee sleeves at £35 a pair to try and come in, undercut the competitors. It turns out our product was better than some of the competitors. Most of the competitors, I must add. So over time, the price kept going up. I'd be a fool to leave the price so low when we've got such a good product. As well as that, such a good service. People don't realise how important customer service is until they need it. And you think, okay, that makes sense. But when you buy a product from somewhere, if you buy a car, you go to Audi, you buy a car, and if you come away and then it breaks after 1 week and you go back and Audi are like, nope, that's your problem. You'd be like, what the hell? No, I've just bought this, sort it. If you buy a car from Rolls-Royce and you drive it away and after a week it breaks and they go, well, we are so sorry, sir. Here's a new one, we swapped it. That was a major problem, no fault of yours. There you go. You would be like, oh, wow, that is good. That is good. In this day and age, we're so used to companies offering terrible customer support. And why? Why is that an accepted norm? Why are we okay with that? So at Murgs, I was like, no, I'm going to differentiate on my customer support. Every pair of knee sleeves comes with a 12-month warranty. Every single pair. There are lots of people that do not pick the right size. They will vanity size. They go onto our website and they'll go, I'm probably a small, and they'll buy a small. 3 weeks later, they email me saying, I've just bought these knee sleeves and they've split already. And I'm like, okay, well, can we just have another measure up and we'll see? I can't prove you bought the wrong size. Obviously not. But at the same time, I've had enough experience with this. I know what causes the splitting. It's too much pressure. So I will send someone out a larger pair of knee sleeves. Like, here's the size up. They're on us. And the amount of responses where people go, oh my God, I didn't expect this. Thank you so much. And it's like, that was such a simple thing. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I've just had to fork out of pocket for this other person. But there's the hope that they now understand that they need to size correctly. They also think, wow, Murgs really looked after me. There were no questions asked. They sent me the new pair, and they'll be thinking, and these fit even better. How did they know? I just know what happens to products, right? And then another thing was, when you sell a more premium product, there's more room, there's more, shall we say, base profit to start with. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, I will be spending more on my knee sleeves than other people will on theirs. but that's why they're better. And that's why we can sell them for £60 a pair, because they're very good. They come with a very good guarantee. And also, having a higher margin gives you more room for marketing. If you make more profit, it's not like, haha, I make more profit, I've just bought a nicer car. No, the business needs profit to survive. You can't just draw every drop of profit out of a business and pretend that's fine. No, businesses need profit to grow, to offer new product lines, to offer new product, like everything. Profit is essential within a business. You can't draw it all out, because that's just a business with no money, and that's easy to have. There's been times in the past with my terrible cash flow management, and it's been like, oh, we've got no money. It's like, yeah, I know, because you spent it. Yeah, so cash flow management is tricky. Another point, this ties into that, which is really funny. Consider yourself an apprentice. When you're trying to start this new business, things won't happen quickly. And it's frustrating. It is. It's very frustrating. You'll be trying to get some traction, trying to make some sales, trying to do this and that, and you're like, I'm trying so hard, let's sell some stuff. But you've got to remember, when you work in an online business, or maybe any business, the work you do today, right now, is for the brand in the next, 3, 6, 9, 12 months. Like, it is. It really is. If you put an advert out right now, you might not sell anything for 12 to 24 hours, because the ads have got to start looking for people and find things and this and that. And it just takes time. It takes so long. This is where the be patient thing ties in. Another thing, don't quit. Do not quit. I'll tell this in fast forward. One time my brother says, oh, John, have you got any shows that I can watch on TV? This was 10, 15 years ago. I said, James, watch Breaking Bad. He said, okay. 30 minutes later, comes back in. He says, John, Breaking Bad's crap. I don't want to watch it. I said, have you even watched it? He said, yes, I've seen 30 minutes of it. Well, it turns out, after doing the maths, 30 minutes of Breaking Bad is the equivalent of 1%. The same 1% of 10 years is 35 days. So if you start a business, I've been running Murgs now for 8 years. I did hope it would get this far, but I didn't know if it would. I didn't realise that just keeping going just makes more and more and more and more progress. If you quit, that's it. It's gone. Like, that's it. You only fail when you quit. So taking it slow, it's not fun sometimes. But at the same time, if you had a really fast-paced business where you were busy, how do you ever get to not be busy? Do you need to then hire others? Because in my business, I try and outsource everything. I try and not outsource the people, but we use a third-party fulfillment centre. So I send all my stock to this big, massive warehouse that houses probably 50, 100, 200 other brands, and they do all the dispatching on all the warehousing. So yes, Murgs has no more employees, but I still have people assisting. All the stock goes there. From wherever it's imported from or manufactured, it all goes to the warehouse. And then customers place orders, they get shipped. The returns portal's there, they can just do returns. Like, I try and make it as effortless and easy for customers as possible to remove me from the equation. As much as early on, it's like, no, it's fine. I'll do customer support and I'll do all the postage and packaging. Have it in mind where you want it to go. Because I did all the postage and packaging, literally. But there were times where I come home from work and it were like, wow, I've got 27 parcels to do today. And you're like, 27 now? And it's like, yeah, they've got to go, like, now. And it's like, oh. And as you get older, like the fact that I've got kids now, I couldn't do that. I don't have the ability to go and pack parcels. So outsource it. Don't get me wrong, I pay handsomely. I pay a handsome fee for my assistance outsourcing it. But that's part of doing business. As you get a bigger business, costs go up. They just do. I pay thousands every month for all these parcels. I think my average parcel, the average cost to send a parcel, I think, is about £8.50. And when you add that up, you're like, wow. So you can, that's not even far off a tenner. Everything you sell, it costs you a tenner to post it, on average. Don't get me wrong. If you spend 200 quid, I'm still calling it at £8.50. If you spend £3.50, it's still £8.50. It's an average. When in reality, it's probably like 5 quid and 15. But still, it's a lot of money. You do £8.50, you do 500 orders in a month, and that's over £4,000. They just paid out to keep the business going, and that's why we need more profit in our products. This might be the last thing. it's really hard. And it's hard for us all. I have struggled immensely. I have really, really, really struggled with running a business, both mentally, physically, the whole job lot. It's really hard. You've got to have a strange kind of crazy for this to make sense. A strange kind of resilience. Yeah, you've got to have a strange kind of resilience to keep going and keep pushing through. And it's really tricky for all of us. It is. The only people it's not as tricky for, because they've got other things on, is those that have other people to help. But when it's just you, and you've got to manage customer support, inventory, sourcing new products, trying this, trying that, marketing, this, and there's everything. The cash flow, the bookkeeping, the accounts, everything. It's really tricky. And it is. It's just hard. It's just hard. But that's where the unlimited earning potential comes in. And that is in parentheses or brackets or something. It's got an unlimited earning potential. Set your expectations realistically. Set them realistically. Like I say, I make $3,000 a month and I live a comfortable life. I can afford what I need. I mean, I drive a 2013 Audi A6. For those that like cars, it's a 3-litre twin-turbo diesel and it puts out 310 horsepower. I'm quite a car guy. But at the same time, I don't have a £400 a month car payment. Are you joking? No. And don't get me wrong, it'd be really cool to be making $10,000 a month where to spend 500 was no big deal. But right now, most of my pay comes in time. I get flexibility, time, freedom. It's just one of them. So set the expectations realistically. You're not going to start a business. In fact, you're not probably going to start a business and quit your job in the first year. It took me 5. And it took me 5 because I spent an awful long time setting up really effective foundations, setting it up like it was a business that was going to be around for a long time. If you want to make a few quid quickly, start buying things from charity shops and thrift shops and selling them on eBay. Like, that's how you make a quick buck. Like, that's okay. But when you start a business, are you starting a business which is something that generates profit and income with some I don't really know how to put this. Or are you buying a job? Are you creating a job by making this all just work for you? Or are you creating a business where eventually at some point you can step back and the business runs itself? In the same way that if you're in the car and you turn it on, you can get out of the car and the car still works without you. If you get on a pedal bike, it only works when you're pedaling. So what do you want? Do you want a car or do you want a pedal bike? Because a lot of people don't realise that there's a difference there. That you can work on the business and have a business that sort of generates and does things, or you can just create a line of work. And I've always wanted to create a business. Not that I want it to be fully automated, because I know that's not realistic, but I have automated a real lot. I've automated so much to where I can make these videos and feel comfortable that, I'm not missing anything right now. The fact that I'm helping others and doing bits and bats, it allows me to feed my passions and what I like to do. I like teaching, I like educating, I like working with people. And I feel very fortunate that I've set the business up in a way that allows that. So you've kind of got to think of the end goal, but not entirely. I don't want you to write down a plan and be like, I've got to do A to B to C to D to E to F to G. No, because that won't happen either. Business is very odd. Sometimes you'll do things and you'll be like, right, A to B to C, and next thing F comes in. You're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Things like COVID, coronavirus. I remember our revenue doubled in the span of like a month or two, and it just skipped a few numbers. It was like, oh wow, we just went from X to Y. And it was like, oh, that was a jump. Never went back down. And you're like, oh, wow. There'll be some businesses that saw an incredible change and go, wow, we were doing 20 grand a month and now we're doing 100 for the time that COVID was on. And then afterwards, after they've hired 5 more people, they've gone back down to normal revenues because it was a specific demand thing. So, yeah, the point is just be dynamic and just realize that things can change and things can evolve. So, yeah, that's just a few things. I just want to make this as useful as possible. If you want more of this, subscribe to my email newsletter. It's just me. I write up I try and make notes throughout the whole week of what I'm doing and what I'm crafting and what might be useful. And you get an email every Wednesday at 10 a.m. That's it, just one. Just one email. So sign up, it's free. And if you read the first email and you're like, it's just crap, just unsubscribe. Don't let it be spam. Just unsubscribe and pretend it never happened. And the same applies. If you subscribe to that email list, right at the bottom, this is only for those that are bothered. Most aren't, but I do one-to-one mentoring. So if anybody needs a hand, you know, you could always feel free to reach out. We'll have a chat for nothing. We'll have 30 minutes, see where you're at, see if it's even any use. Because I've had a few people message me, and the timing's wrong, or you don't need it. I understand you want it because it's nice to be like, how do I do this? But at the same time, you know, if you don't need it, we're not going to be doing that because it's a waste of money. Like, I did mentoring at one point for 6 months. Amazing, fantastic, really, really, really useful. And I just want to offer that to others. Those that just need a hand, that need specific guidance and advice. If it's like you're stuck and you're like, John, what would you do? I'd do this or I'd do that. And, you know, I'm happy to offer suggestions and opinions if anybody needs. So subscribe to that email newsletter. Shoot me an email at john@johnsbusy.com if you just want to chat. And other than that, I'm going to head back and get on with some work. So thank you for joining me. Have a lovely day. I'll speak to you guys soon. Adios.